Certainty versus uncertainty. I want to address how in our day-to-day life, uh, consciously or not consciously, we continuously have to do and deal with our ideas, beliefs, and attitudes and habits in relation to the issue of certainty and the reality of uncertainty in our life. So this morning, as I was getting ready to come to this meeting, I was outside on the balcony, and there has been a storm going on for about 48 hours here in Sydney, and I just noticed that I love storm. I loved storm all my life. I love this intensity that and this aliveness that shows in nature, and the wind and the blowing and the trees going back and forth, and the birds flying and then finding new ways to move in the air, and the difference in sounds and the rain and all this kind of stuff. And in many years that I meet people, I also saw that a lot of people love storms as long as they are outside. But what about our storms inside? How come we don't have the same attitude, the same welcoming, and the same curiosity about what happens inside? I just want to throw that here in the field so that you can for a moment, just ask yourself, how come, I can see the beauty in that intense transformation and uncertainty that happens in nature, but when I look inside, I don't have the same attitude towards what's happened in me. And I try to put everything often, or most often, a little bit, trying to put it down a little bit, make it a little bit more secure, maybe a little bit quieter, maybe a little easier to manage, and all this. Now, I believe, I feel, and I know actually that I'm not the only one that has been doing this for most of my life, trying to put order, and I know that a fundamental thrust in each human being is the search for certainty. And yet, it's enough to look what is happening in this moment on this planet with this COVID situation to see that life is continuously throwing back at us a very clear message. If you think you know what you are doing, if you think you can control what is happening, you are completely crazy. Because the most fundamental core of existence is being unpredictable, complete uncertainty, ongoing transformation, ongoing change, nothing to hold on to. So what is the difference between a child and an adult? The child is not capable of living in uncertainty, needs some sort of regulation to create at least an appearance of certainty. And that's what mom is about, yeah? Most of the time. Mom is about to make the child feel as secure as possible, as supported as possible, as cared as possible. So mom provides that kind of capacity of self-regulation, energetically, charging and discharging energy that any small child does not have yet developed. But we are not children, we are adults. So again, if we look, and I invite you to do this with yourself, if you look at day-to-day life, it's very fascinating to see how we spend a lot of our energy and our intelligence and our resources to try to create a basic ground of certainty in our life. And at the same time, we continuously look for ways to experience the uncertainty. We do that with sex, we do that with alcohol, we do that with drugs, we do that with danger, we do that with putting ourselves in situations where it's clear that we cannot control what is happening. We even do that by going to war. We do that by gambling. So if you look at the also history of humanity, there is this continuous conflict between a natural animal desire of certainty and at the same time a need to recognize that life is not certain at all, and to align ourselves with the reality of this universe. Now, what the adult does, which the child cannot do, is that the adult can recognize that this does not need to be a conflict. It can be a conscious capacity to put together two fundamental aspects of our living. The living in the form, in the body, that needs survival and therefore needs a certain level of certainty, and the need of the soul and our spirit, which is to recognize the absolute freedom of every moment. And the absolute freedom of every moment is based on there are no boundaries. There is only infinity. And in infinity, everything is completely possible and everything is completely unpredictable. So I'm throwing this in the field, because I love to do that. That's all. And I also, because I feel that in this moment, this fundamental paradox of certainty, uncertainty is at the very center of everybody's life. So I feel that it's important, it's good, it's fundamental that we start looking and feeling into it, because basically every spiritual path has only one goal, which is learning to live in uncertainty. Nothing else. Now, of course, it's also true that every spiritual path has been distorted from churches and traditions and made it exactly the opposite. If you pray, you will go to paradise. No? If you meditate, you will get enlightened. If you do good deeds, then God will love you forever. And it's all bullshit. Because nothing of that can be proved. So it's just good ideas to keep us children, to keep us small, to keep us dependent, to keep us controllable. We can be controlled so that our freedom is not really where we live and who we are. So I just want to throw that in the field, and then you do with it whatever you want. Certainty versus uncertainty. Just look into your life. Now, this gives me also the opportunity to talk about the fundamental methodology that we use in in our webinars. That methodology is self-inquiry. Self-inquiry means that we become so fascinated, so curious about knowing the truth, finding the truth with every moment, the truth of who I am, the truth of what is love, the truth of what does it mean to be living, what does it mean to be surviving, what does it mean to sharing with other people, the truth moment to moment to moment that we keep asking. So self-inquiry is not about finding answers, it's about learning to enjoy, relish passionately the capacity to ask questions about every single aspect of our experience and ourselves. So during the webinar that we will do in a month or so, self-inquiry is what drives all the understanding, because self-inquiry is an invitation to the mystery of life to manifest itself, to show up, to become available to our understanding, so that we can have a little glimpse of this infinity moment to moment to moment. And when we do this webinar, you will receive written information about how to use the technique. But the fundamental aspect of this, that for me, that I love self-inquiry. The fundamental aspect is that self-inquiry is possibly the only methodology that completely puts together love and awareness. Because you need to love the truth if you want the mystery to reveal itself. So the love for the truth is the foundation of every search into the truth. And the awareness is the capacity to actually see the truth, not think the truth, but see the truth, receive it, recognize it, mirror it. So love and awareness are the two pillars of self-inquiry. Okay, before we go into this webinar, let's sit together for a few minutes. And I'm going to do a short guided meditation. So make yourself comfortable. If you are sitting on a chair or on a sofa, please feel your feet on the, put your feet on the ground so that you can actually feel the ground under your feet. And I'll keep the front of your body open. So don't cross your hands or your arms in front of yourself. Just really keep the front of your body open in a receptive, available position. And as you close your eyes, allow yourself to just be here. There is nothing you need to do. There is no goal. There is no particular intention of going anywhere or doing anything. You simply are sitting here and feeling yourself. Meditation is fundamentally intimacy. It's about intimacy. It's about you allowing yourself to be intimate with this moment and everything that this moment manifests in you, around you. So it's about resting in what Osho calls choiceless awareness. allowing your awareness to be just a clear mirror of what is happening moment to moment. Can be a sensation in your physical body, can be a breath that comes in and goes out, can be some little movement of adjustment, can be energy moving inside of your body, or perhaps around you. Like perhaps there is a vibration in the world around you. Perhaps you can feel that even though we are separated from thousands and thousands of miles, we are actually sharing the same here, the same now, beyond any description of time and space that has been given to us. We are all here, we are all now. Everything that appears in your consciousness is just a temporary object. Can be a thought, can be the sound of the wind or a bird, can be cars in the street, can be the sound of a computer, can be a feeling or an emotion in the body or a memory, an image. Your consciousness mirrors whatever appears second after second without grasping or rejecting. You simply mirror back whatever is there. And as we do that and we learn to rest in the intimacy of who we are in this moment, we can let go of effort. That's what personality is. Personality is a continuous state of effort of controlling, effort of manipulating, effort of making sense. While who we are and what life is, they're much bigger than any sense we can make out of it. They're much bigger than any attempt to control it. So simply let yourself rest in your own presence right in this moment. And in this resting, there is no right way to rest or wrong way to rest. There is just your way to rest. Your presence is the basic fundamental ground. And as you notice how everything changes 1 second after another, and there are different sensations, there are movements that happen, there are thoughts that come by. You might also notice that you are aware of all this. There is a common denominator, and that common denominator is you, that you are experiencing everything that is happening. What is happening is moving, is changing, is unfolding, is transforming, is coming and going. But you are aware of it. There is someone sitting here in this moment who is aware of all that is happening, that can feel, that they can sense, that can see, that can smell, that can experience what is happening. And that's you. So when you experience all this, when you communicate all this, you say, I feel that, I sense that, I see that, I hear that, I know that. The object continuously changing, and the I is the central point. And who is this I? Who is the central point? Who is the experiencer, the subject of every single moment? And sensing your arms and your legs, allowing your eyes to open and give yourself a little stretch, coming back. If you look into all different kinds of meditations, of different traditions, in different moments of a human's life, they all basically have exactly the same structure. The first part of the meditation is about arriving in the present moment. It's about taking the energy and pulling the energy into ourselves so that we can be here now. And the easiest way to do that is to start noticing the process of change in the objects. So we can start noticing the objects that come and go, come and go, come and go. And we can do it like we just did it, not focusing on anything in particular, or we can do it in more traditional ways, like, for example, focusing on the breath and noticing the coming and going of the breath, or focusing on the way we walk in the Zen walking tradition, or focusing in, if you do dynamic meditation, on the different phases of dynamic meditation, or when we do Kundalini in the movements of our bodies and our spine and so on. But the focus is on the objects. And then comes a moment when we start moving away, because the only way to be aware of the object is by being present. And then we are ready to look at who is experiencing all this, who is the subject. And that's where things become very interesting, because the subject does not go away, does not go anywhere. The subject is all the time present, is the one who continuously can experience the object. So this is general understanding about meditation. Now I bring this in because one of the most fundamental obstacles that we encounter in our life is that we believe that we know who we are, which is an absolute delusion. Because to know who we are means to know the mystery, to be in the mystery, to be the mystery. Everything that we know is not who we are, is how we function in the world. So if we look at what we call the ego identity, we will find that the ego identity continuously defines itself through external objects. I am a man. I am a woman. I am a doctor. I am an employee. I am an American. I am a Malaysian. I am good. I am bad. I am intelligent. I am stupid. So basically, there is no direct experience of I am. There is all the time an experience which is defined by something. Can be an abstract concept like good or bad. Can be nationality, which is also an abstract concept because nobody is born Greek or Sicilian or American. Can be a religious concept, I'm a Christian or an Indian, which is also an abstract concept because nobody is born Christian or something else. Yeah. So if you start noticing, you notice that actually I have no idea who is this I am talking about. And it's a good moment when we can honestly have the courage to recognize to ourselves that everything that we think we know about ourselves is based on the past, is based on the story, is based on something that we do, so something that we have learned or something that we have, not something that we are. So the webinar is about, the title of the webinar is Self-Image and True Identity. If we go at the very core of our personality, which is fundamentally a survival structure that helps us to navigate in day-to-day life in more or less efficient ways, we find this sense of I. And the webinar is about really diving into our ideas and beliefs about this sense of I. and in particular, to become aware, to recognize that our sense of I is founded, is based on a continuous identification with what we call inner representations or inner images. So I wake up in the morning, and as soon as I start becoming conscious of being awake, without even noticing, I attach myself to a certain image of myself that I carry in my unconscious. So if I am, for example, convinced that I am a doer and a very successful person in life, I need to get out of bed in a certain way. I need to move in a certain way. I need to talk in a certain way. I need to relate in a certain way. I need to breathe in a certain way. I need to walk in a certain way. I need to eat in a certain way. And of course, if I believe the opposite, and my inner image is that, oh, you're going to be a loser all your life, there is no fucking way that you're going to get anywhere, I'm going to move and talk and relate and eat like a loser, because I have a certain image to fulfill. And of course, a loser has to create a world that continuously mirrors back the fact that he or she is a loser. And the winner continues to prove to himself by creating a world outside that continuously mirrors the fact that he has to be a winner. Now you can put any image there. You can put the image of the lover. You can put the image of the very spiritual, new age, oh, I'm so enlightened person, whatever, doesn't matter. These images exist in our unconscious since a very, very, very long time. Modern psychology, what is called in particular the object relation theory, Margaret Muller, they say, and they experience through a lot of research on infants, that the most fundamental images, that are the images of me, mom, dad, and siblings, my body, they usually get formed before age 4. Now, of course, I assume that you are aware that if I have a certain image of my mom, which I formed before age 4, I most probably will relate to all the women that I meet in my life through that specific filter, which is the image of my mom. And if you are a woman, you will relate to all the men in your life to that specific image of your dad. So the images the representations that we carry inside, they have few fundamental goals. The first is to give us a certain sense of identity. I know who I am because I move in a certain way, I say certain things, I look in a certain way, I do certain things, I relate in a certain way. So they give me a fundamental sense of identity. And in the same time, they create the world we live in. Now, this is not an easy thing to actually accept and deal with, because we like to believe that the world that we live in is not our responsibility. But that's not true. We are completely responsible of the world we live in, because the world reflects, mirrors back who we are. And we can prove this very easily. You can just look around yourself in this moment and look at the room you are in, and you can start noticing that everything in this room is something that reflects you and maybe other people that live in that house. So this seeing and looking into our images is a very fundamental process and intense process to recognize how we believe that we know who we are and we delude ourselves, and how we create the world we live in, with all the consequences that come with it. Now, how do we do this? Well, the most fundamental way we do this is by attaching ourselves to our personal story. So if you look inside, or if you notice how you talk about your life, you might be able to notice that you have a particular story. And that story is what you refer to express who you are. I was born there, and this was my relationship with my parents, and this what happened when I was 6, and this is what happened when I had my first love affair, and this is the school that I went, and this is how I became this and this, and blah, 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 blah. And also you might notice that we are very attached to our personal story because we believe that that's the truth, and it's not. Our personal story has very little to do with the truth. Our personal story is a concoction that we have put together of a very limited perspective on the real. And we keep repeating ourselves this story over and over again in a kind of self-hypnosis process. And not only we repeat it to ourselves, but we repeat it to other people. And we are very upset when other people don't buy into it, usually. Our story has very little or nothing at times to do with what really happened. For a very simple reason, because what really happened at every single moment was a manifestation of infinite possibilities, infinite perspectives. And we have chosen a limited perspective on that specific event. And this is also very easy to recognize, because especially if you have brothers and sisters, you can go to them and say, hey, what happened in that situation there? And you will hear a completely different story from yours, because the perspective is different. So what we have done in time is that we have taken a relative truth, a limited perspective of a particular event, and we have transformed it in absolute truth, in the truth. This is what happened. My mom loved my brother more than me. My dad was so and so. My sister was so and so. My teacher was so and so. My lover was so and so. All definitions that make a story. And then we carry these stories inside and around ourselves as a defense system. Now, as long as we have a story to support, it's impossible to be free, because we continuously need to feed, nurture this story. And so we need to hypnotize ourselves with our limitation because the story is limited. And it's impossible to be fearless because we continuously live, like every personality lives in the paranoia of being discovered as an imposter, as someone to say this is the truth and actually had no clue of what the truth is about. So this webinar will be, in the first few couple of modules, will be about exploring our self-image, which means also our body image and how we are attached to it. And then we'll be exploring how our attachment to a particular self-image creates a certain kind of image of the world. So how we project our self-image on the world, and how then we create a certain world we live in. And then in the third part, we will look at how can we let go of our attachment to these images. And please notice, I'm not saying that you have to let go to the images. The images are not good or bad. I'm saying the question is to let go of our attachment to the images, which means to start opening ourselves up to all the other possibilities that are excluded, that are pushed away from our consciousness because they don't fit with our story. And how, by doing that, we can come back to the subject. Now, the subject is not defined. The subject is purely, simply, I am, without any definition. So there is complete open space and complete mystery and infinite possibilities. And that means absolute uncertainty. So our inner conflict with this certainty and uncertainty has a lot to do also with the fact that we keep recreating story and images so that we can feel, oh, okay, I can relax because I can believe that I know who I am and that I know what the world is about. And moving into subjectivity is recognizing I have no idea, I have no clue, and yet I know that I'm here. I know that I exist. I can experience myself as existing right in this moment. And how we put together these two elements of this paradox and how we live with that. The webinar is called Self-Image and True Identity, and it has the content that I described before. If you want to know more precisely all the informations about more in detail about the content, the timing, the costs, and how we work out the fact that we give you materials, videos, and written stuff, you need to write to Sharabo at dimensionsofbeingavical@gmail.com, and you're going to get a lot of material to read and work, not a lot, but some material to work with. And especially you're going to get a lot of inquiries, stuff that you can do with other participants. And I think that what we're going to do is that we can create Sharabo perhaps can create a WhatsApp group where you guys can connect with each other to do the inquiries during the week between one module and the other module. So you can take appointments and then use any kind of platform you want to use. We do the recording of each module, and the recording will only and exclusively be available to participants, so that you know that first of all, you can choose if you want to be recorded or not. You just need to let us know. But whatever the case, we will definitely not give the recording in any public form. Is only for the participants. So only for people that are committed to be in the group. And saying that, have a good evening, and I'll see you hopefully soon.